The FNAF 2 movie just broke canon. Spoiler warning, this breakdown contains major spoilers for the latest FNAF movie. Hey guys, Horror Lorekeeper here. So, we need to talk about the lore nuke Blumhouse just dropped on a decade of theories. For 10 years, the FNAF community has treated one idea as basically gospel. Mike Schmidt is just a fake name. You are actually playing as Michael Afton. It was the foundation of so many timeline videos, essays, fanfics, the whole we are the sun-seeking redemption thing. And then the movie looked us dead in the eyes and said, no, he's not. The film doesn't just hint that Mike Schmidt and Michael Afton are different people. It confirms it. It puts them both on screen, side by side in the same story, and then weaponizes that separation to completely rewrite the Afton family dynamic. Mike Schmidt, the survivor, the protective big brother who risks everything to save Abby. Michael Afton, the heir, a loyal disciple who leads an entire camera crew to their deaths in Daddy's murder maze. The eldest son archetype from the games has been split in half. And if I'm right, that split is setting up a future where the final boss of this trilogy isn't just William Afton, it's his devoted son. Let's rip this band-aid off. A decade of Mike equals Michael, what the games taught us. Before we get into what the movie did, we need to remember where we came from. In the games, the fandom stitched together a mountain of little details. The FNAF 1 Night Guard is named Mike Schmidt on the paycheck. FNAFSL straight up gives us Michael Afton, a walking corpse on a redemption tour. The custom night dialogue, the I will put you back together line, the purple guy connections, all of it started to feel like one long continuous arc. The working theory became, Mike Schmidt is a cover name. The security guards are aliases. You are always Michael Afton, working off your father's sins by surviving these locations and setting spirits free. It made sense. Security guard equals self-imposed punishment. Endings where you get fired equals moving to the next nightmarish job. The whole story plays like a private hell for the son of the killer. Over time, Mike equals Michael went from theory to assumption. Every new piece of media. The first question was always, okay, but how is this secretly Michael Afton? And then the first FNAF movie dropped. Movie 1, the soft setup. Mike as the remix Michael. In the first movie, Mike Schmidt already felt like a Michael Afton remix. He's the older brother haunted by a younger sibling's death, Garrett. He's obsessive, guilt-ridden, stuck in a loop he can't escape. He ends up working at the pizzeria where his brother's murderer operated, and he tries to understand and free the spirits instead of just surviving. We all went, got it, movie timeline Michael, new name, same role. Even Vanessa being Afton's daughter fit the remix method. Okay, they slid the Afton child slot over to her in some ways, but Mike is still filling that Michael-ish guilt-driven protagonist position. So we left movie 1 pretty confident that the spirit of the Mike equals Michael theory was still alive, even if the names got shuffled. And then movie 2 showed up and punted that confidence into the sun. Movie 2, the moment Canon snaps. Enter the sequel. On one side, we have Mike Schmidt continuing his arc, still protecting Abby, still traumatized by Garrett, still stumbling into Fazbear conspiracies he never asked for. On the other side, we're introduced to a mysterious fixer/coordinator who arranges access to the abandoned pizzeria for a documentary/paranormal camera crew. A guy who seems way too calm about getting people inside a place tied to multiple disappearances. A character who, for the first half of the film, just reads as shady local contact, and then the movie hits us with the dossier board, the name drop or the line you can't argue with. Michael Afton, not as a twist that Mike's real last name is Afton, not as a reveal that Schmidt was an alias, but as a separate person. We literally have Mike Schmidt, Michael Afton, in the same story, in different scenes, with different goals. This is the movie turning to 10 years of theory videos and saying, you've been combining two roles. We're splitting them. Two eldest sons, survivor versus heir. To really see what Blumhouse did here, you have to zoom out and look at the archetype they're messing with. In the game timeline, Michael Afton is the eldest son, indirectly responsible for his younger brother's death, horrified by what his father has done, on an endless rotting road trip to make things right. He's both culprit and penitent. What the movie does is take that tangled, morally gray archetype and slice it clean down the middle. 1. Mike Schmidt, the survivor. Mike inherits the guilt and redemption side of Michael's role. He failed to protect Garrett. He keeps reliving the moment of the kidnapping in his dreams. He chooses to risk his life over and over to protect Abby, and by extension, the other kids' spirits. He has no loyalty to Afton, only horror. We watch him question himself, break down, still go back into the building because his sister is in danger. He is the eldest son as protector, the part of the archetype that says, I won't let what happened to my brother happen again. 2. Michael Michael Afton, the heir. The new Michael Afton introduced in the movie inherits the legacy and villain side of the role. He knows exactly who his father is. He doesn't flinch at the history of the building. He brings others into the pizzeria under false pretenses. This time, a camera crew, that paranormal / documentary team, they think they're uncovering a story. He knows they're walking into a trap. We see him unlocking doors that shouldn't still work, reassuring them that this is the perfect place for their big scare, staying just outside of harm's reach until it's too late. And when the mask finally slips, he doesn't beg forgiveness. He doesn't recoil from the animatronics. He steps closer. My father showed me the way. He is the eldest son as disciple, not the rotting zombie seeking redemption we know from the games, but the smiling, breathing continuation of William's philosophy. The camera crew, a new MCI in real time. Let's talk about that camera crew because that sequence is doing a lot of narrative heavy lifting. On paper, they serve a simple purpose. New characters to throw into the meat grinder. Convenient way to tour the building with fresh eyes. Found footage angle for some cool scares. But look closer at how Michael Afton is positioned around them. He recruits them. He's the one who knows the building, who has a guy for the keys, who convinces them this is where they'll get their big break. He frames it as opportunity, not danger. He never talks about the deaths, the missing kids, or the previous owners in any meaningful detail. If he mentions it, it's as a selling point. You want it authentic, right? This place is the local legend. He disappears at the critical moments. As the toys and wizards start to move, as the cameras glitch, as the lights die, he's suddenly not where he should be. He watches. We cut to him in security rooms, in shadowed hallways, observing, listening, almost studying what his father built. The point is clear. The crew thinks they're documenting ghosts. Michael is reenacting his father's favorite trick, luring people into Fazbear's to die. Only this time it's adults, not kids. That matters because it tells us William's legacy isn't just children's killer. To his son, he's an ideologue, a man who discovered a way to bind souls to machines, to conquer death, to turn a restaurant into a ritual space. Where Game Michael looks at that and says, this has to end. Movie Michael looks at it and says, this must continue. That is a huge divergence from canon. Here's what this does to movie 1, retroactive lore bomb. Now that we know Michael Afton exists as a separate character, a bunch of scenes from movie 1 get recontextualized. Afton's reaction to Mike Schmidt. Remember when William Afton first reads Mike's name on the employment form? He pauses. He smiles that weird, knowing smile. He says, I like that name. For a year, people read that as, see, he recognizes his own son under a fake name. With Michael now existing as an actual living child elsewhere, that line hits differently. It's not paternal recognition, it's predatory recognition. I like that name now sounds less like you're my boy and more like you're connected to something I did. We already talked in previous videos about how Garrett's abduction feels different from the other killings, more like an experiment than a simple murder. Now that we've got a separate Michael Afton, it's easier to see William isn't seeing Michael in disguise when he looks at Mike. He's seeing the brother of a special project, a victim he used to push the boundaries of what remnant and agony can do. The family tie is not father to son, it's mad scientist, surviving relative of a test subject. Vanessa's place between them. Vanessa, as William's daughter, is now caught between two male leads with opposite destinies. Mike Schmidt, the good man trying to fix what he didn't break. Michael Afton, the blood relative trying to finish what their father started. That sets Vanessa up as the pivot point. Who does she side with? Does she protect Mike and Abby or enable Michael and William? Is she the bridge or the battleground? All of that only works cleanly if Mike and Michael are not the same person. Why Blumhouse did it? Cleaning up a messy archetype. So why would Blumhouse take a fan favorite decade-old theory and snap it in half on screen? Because for a movie narrative, the original Michael Afton archetype is a lot to juggle in one character. Oldest son, bully / bystander, indirectly responsible for the crying child's death, horrified by his father's murders, victim of those same murders, undead on a redemption quest, possibly fused with multiple spirits depending on which book / theory you read. That's incredible for game lore and YouTube deep dives. It's chaos for a clean 3-act film arc, so the writers did the smartest possible thing. They split him. Mike gets the emotional weight, the guilt over a lost sibling, the desire to protect another child, the role of POV character who discovers the horror, not creates it. Michael Afton gets the mythic weight, the blood tie to William, the willing participation in Fazbear's darkness, the trajectory toward being a future big bad. Instead of one overstuffed, morally tangled eldest son, we now have a hero we can root for without reservation, a villain in training whose very existence tells us this story doesn't end with William. William, which leads us to the future. William is not the final boss. The second Michael Afton shows up, the trilogy roadmap changes. Before, the assumed endgame was movie 3 equals Springtrap, burn the rabbit, free the kids, roll credits. But now, even if William Afton dies again, Springlock snapping, building burning, whatever flavor of crispy you prefer, the ideology doesn't die with him. Michael is young, mobile, unburnt, fully indoctrinated. He's learned how to lure victims, how to navigate Fazbear spaces, how to operate in the shadows while everyone's attention is on the animatronics. He is a sequel engine in human form. Imagine a third movie where William is trapped in a suit, decaying, more symbol than active mastermind. The animatronics are caught between Puppet / Charlie's push for peace and Michael's rituals to keep them bound. Mike and Abby are finally trying to walk away, and Michael steps out of the fire like, "You thought my father was the problem. He was just the beginning." That's not just horror, that's generational horror. The sins of the father don't just haunt the kids inherit them and decide what to do. Game Michael chose penance. Movie Michael is choosing power. Wrap up. So let's lay it out clean. The new FNAF movie doesn't hint or tease. It confirms Mike Schmidt and Michael Afton are separate people. A decade of Mike Sitward Michael game theory respectfully shattered. In the movie timeline, that fusion is split. Mike Schmidt, survivor, protector, guilt-driven hero. Michael Afton, heir, disciple, emerging villain. The camera crew sequence isn't just filler. It's Michael's origin as a predator, reenacting his father's methods with adult victims. Movie 1's moments, like Afton reacting to Mike's name, now read as predatory recognition, not paternal recognition. And the Afton family tree has been fundamentally rewritten so that the final problem of this trilogy might not be William's survival, but Michael's. The FNAF 2 movie didn't just adapt canon, it broke it, rearranged the pieces, and built a new nightmare out of the shards. Now I want to hear from you. Are you on board with the split? Do you like Mike as a pure survivor and Michael as a pure villain? Or were you attached to the messy, tragic single arc Michael from the games? Drop your takes in the comments, especially your predictions for how Michael Afton steps up in a potential FNAF 3. Do we get a Purple Guy 2.0 stalking a horror attraction? A cult of Fazbear believers? Something worse? If you enjoyed this breakdown, help the channel survive its own canon split. Smash that like button, subscribe to Horror Lorekeeper for more FNAF and horror deep dives, and share this with that one friend who still insists Mike Schmidt is secretly a fake ID. Thanks for watching, and remember, in this timeline, sometimes the scariest thing isn't the rabbit that comes back. It's the son who never wants him to leave.